Louisville's forcing people to turn it over. 22 points a game they're scoring out of their defense. The first game, Louisville did a nice job of taking care of the basketball, only turned it over 11 times. This game is going to be won on the offensive glass. And this game is going to be won and decided by foul trouble. And when I mean foul trouble, I look for John Calipari to play through their front court, try to make Montrezl Harrell defend every single possession. You get Montrez out of the game, this is a different game.
It is.
So it's going to come down to, I think that Kentucky's going to rebound the basketball, where they're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. Louisville struggles rebounding the ball on the defensive end. I think that Kentucky handles the pressure, looks over that pressure. The one question I have is Kentucky's got to be solid in their half-court execution, because a bad shot, a quick shot, is an opportunity for Russ Smith to get out in transition, and that's where he's at his very best. He has struggled in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
But if you take a bad shot, it affects your defensive transition. So the key to me for Kentucky will be make good decisions in the half court, continue to share the sugar, make the next pass, play for each other. If you do that, you win the game.
Coach, I got a question.
Sure.
Two, actually. One is whether or not you believe Kentucky can handle the pressure that Louisville is going to bring their way. And number two, do you expect Randall to have a big game tonight against Louisville, considering how Kentucky's front line, how formidable they were against Louisville back in December?
I think they're going to handle the pressure because they're going to look over the pressure. There's three layers to the pressure of Louisville, right? It's one, you got to get the ball in bounds. They do a great job of denying you. When they make a lane shot or a layup, they'll get up and put pressure on the basketball. On a dead ball, they'll deny you and play a center fielder. But I think the big guards, the size of their guards, their ability to look over the top, will enable them to handle the pressure. In terms of Julius Randle, I don't think it's just Julius Randle. It's Alex Poitras. You know, it's the whole Kentucky front court. The length of the Kentucky front court bothered Montrezl Harrell the first game. Now, look, addition by subtraction. Let's face it. I mean, you know, without Bohannon, this is a much better Louisville team, because Montrezl Harrell, he has more on his plate. He's asked to do more. And by being asked to do more, he's giving them more. But if he gets in foul trouble, they have no chance, because they have no way to match up with the length, the speed, the athleticism of the front court. So I think that they'll play through Randall, they'll play through Coley Stein, they'll play through Dakari Johnson. I think they'll play through their front court guys. And then, more importantly, I think they'll look over the top and pound the glass.
Stephen A., your pick, Kentucky-Louisville.
Well, I'm rolling with Kentucky. I said that a few days ago. I'm going to stick to that. I mean, I was incredibly impressed with what I saw against Wichita State. I thought Wichita State would win that game because Lee Anthony Early is big time in my estimation. But Kentucky showed up. I loved what I saw from Randall. I loved what I saw from the Harrison brothers. So I like them a lot, and I think that they can handle Louisville and what Louisville's going to throw in their direction. Russ Smith is going to have to be a one-man army to pull this off, and I don't know if he can do that. I'm just not so sure. I just think that Kentucky's too young, have too many athletes. They're going to get out and defend. They're not going to give up a bunch of three-pointers. I think they're going to be there, and I think it's going to be too much for Louisville. That's just my opinion.
And I will make it unanimous. Both of us have been on the Kentucky bandwagon now for the last week or so, because we both had Wichita State getting through. Stephen A. had them to win the whole thing, and I thought that was a pretty good pick, actually. But to me, I keep hearing this week that Montrezl Harrell is a different player than he was when Kentucky won at home December 28th. Well, guess what? The Harrison twins are different players, too, at this point. Julius is different. James Young is different because they are growing up before your very eyes. I just think they will out-talent Louisville, and I do not think the press will be a big factor. As you point out, Kentucky only had 11 turnovers in that game on December 28th. So I think Kentucky can win this game fairly handily.
All right, Coach, Virginia, Michigan State.
I think the game's going to be decided on transition, offense and defensive transition. Virginia's one of the best teams in the country in defensive transition. They only give up like 7 points a game in defensive transition. Michigan State is the second best in the country in offensive transition. So that's going to be a determining factor. Now, everyone's looking at this Virginia team. They're not giving them enough respect, because Virginia is much more athletic than anyone gives them credit for. They have a grown man team. I mean, when you talk about Malcolm Brogdon, he is a big physical guard. Joe Harris is a big physical guard. Akeel Mitchell is a versatile front court defender. He can defend multiple positions. They come off the bench with Anthony Gill, who they can throw to, can score a little bit. Having said that, I think Michigan State right now, including Florida, is the best team in the tournament. Brandon Dawson, with a healthy Brandon Dawson, they're 23-4. What does Brandon Dawson do? He can score on the block. He extends possessions by getting to the glass, does a great job of running the floor, and he gives them some toughness. You got the toughness of Brandon Dawson. Gary Harris might be the best two-guard in the country.
Yeah.
Does a great job of getting up and down the floor and scoring in transition. I think he's like third in the country in scoring in transition. In the end, it's going to come down to Keith Appling. You know, we said before the season, if Keith Appling played, was more concerned about making the next pass than the next point, then you know what? Michigan State was going to be good. He's been more concerned about making the next pass than scoring the next point, and that's why I believe that Michigan State's going to win.
So can we hear from Stephen A. Izzo now?
Izzo?
Yeah,
I
told y'all, H to the Izzo. Yeah. I'm flowing with Izzo, man. Listen, I give Tony Bennett a lot of credit. He's done an outstanding job with Virginia. He's put them on the map again. They were irrelevant for quite some time. We all know that, but they've won 30 games. You win 30 games, you've got my attention. There's no doubt about that. I look at these boys. I watched them in the ACC championship game against Duke. I was just very, very impressed with what I saw from them. I like them a great deal, but I love Michigan State. I love Michigan State, and I agree with you, Coach Harris. I mean, this dude is impressive. We know what Payne can do, so I just look at them right now, along with the exceptional coach and the fact that they've been here before. They know what they're doing. I think this is a game that's tight. It comes down to the wire, but it matters. Experience matters, and I think they have it. I'm rolling with Michigan State to win this one, Skip. I'm going to say something along the lines of like 83 to 75.
High score.
That's a high score against
I'm
Virginia.
not sure anyone scored 83
I
against
know.
Virginia.
I don't think so either.
We'll see.
I had Virginia getting through to the Final Four by winning this game tonight, and I am sticking with it.
Wow.
Tony Bennett isn't just a rising star among coaches. I think he's arrived. I don't know what your opinion
he's a
is.
terrific coach.
He's a terrific coach. And to me, this is the San Antonio Spurs of college basketball. They play Spurs-like basketball on offense and defense. They are unified on both ends of the floor, and I think that will prove to be slightly too much for a Michigan State team that is obviously extremely well coached on the other side and is a man's basketball team.